What if I were to tell you that the key to getting a man to want you is to give up trying altogether? No check-ins, no stealthy story uploads intended for him, no contacting solely to remain on his radar. Just quiet, silence, and distance. It feels counterintuitive, right? But it's precisely where true magnetism starts, not in chase, but in your absence. Because here's the thing people never learn. A man won't fall for you when he has all of you. He'll fall when he starts to feel the emptiness your presence once occupied. And this is not about games. It's about taking back energy, yours. The psychology of pulling back, where Carl Jung meets desire. Carl Jung wrote of a psychological experience referred to as projection, where we give our energy, our hopes, even our light to another person, unbeknownst to us, asking them to reflect it back. We do it all the time in love. We pour, we show up. We offer slices of ourselves until there's nothing more to miss. But when you withdraw from feeding someone your constant attention, something incredible occurs. They're no longer responding to your energy. They're faced with their own. That silence, it becomes a mirror. He's not soaking up your light. He's sitting in his own darkness, seeing just how comfortable it was when you were present. Why ignoring isn't cruel, it's magnetic. Let's get real. Chasing is rooted in fear. Fear of being replaced. Fear of being forgotten. Fear that perhaps, just perhaps, we were never enough to start with. But here's the catch. The instant that you get out of chasing and begin to choose yourself, the energy entirely changes. You become scarce. And scarcity creates value. When you're no longer emotionally available at every turn, your presence is a privilege, not a right. And when he no longer has access to that, he starts to question, why did she pull away? Did I lose her? Is someone else in the space I left unguarded? And suddenly, you're not just a thought, you're an obsession. Your absence speaks louder than your words. When you're always giving love, attention, and reassurance, it feels heroic. But in the long run, it's just background noise. He doesn't lose his caring, but he loses noticing, because you're always there, available, predictable. Your silence, it speaks in volumes, louder than any "I miss you" ever could. It's not coldness, it's clarity, because real power isn't in proving your worth, it's in living it. When a woman ceases trying to be understood and begins upholding her own peace, her absence is now a presence. And that silence, it doesn't go ignored. It resonates, it disturbs, it makes him feel, not just think. And no, ignoring is not cruelty. It is just refusing to indulge in what no longer feeds your soul. When you're aware of your value, you don't fight for it. You don't seek validation. You become it. And now he's left with the sting of something he never appreciated until it was taken away. Stop feeding his ego, the quiet power of emotional absence. Here's a fact most men will not admit, but women sense it in their bones. Most men live on being pursued, not in wickedness, but because attention stimulates their ego. Each speedy response, each check-in, each time you disturb the silence first, it informs him you still want me. But is that actual connection control? Carl Jung cautioned about this imbalance. When we give too much without receiving, we're not loving, we're acting unconsciously, he explained. You're not cultivating a relationship, you're feeding a cycle. One based not on love, but on fear. The fear of being forgotten, replaced, or unwanted. And this is where it gets dangerous. Most men are not narcissists, but many are habituated deeply to being wanted. They're used to your energy being easily accessible. And when you finally withdraw that energy, when you cease to reflect back how much they matter, a tiny panic erupts, not because they miss you, but because they miss how they felt when you loved them. Absence as a mirror. What happens when you stop giving? When you create distance, you're not vanishing, you're making space, and space has a way of revealing things. It becomes a mirror. one he can no longer ignore. If his interest was superficial, if he only wanted the warmth of your attention, then your absence will repel him. He'll withdraw, he'll go silent, and that's your answer. But if there was something true, if your presence awakened something deeper in him, then the silence won't drive him. It'll draw him toward you, toward truth, toward vulnerability. Your absence acts as a filter. It distinguishes between those who are simply basking in the glare of your attention and those who actually cherish your soul. Behind the mask, who he becomes. Without your energy, Carl Jung told us we all wear masks, personas that conceal the real self. When you're constantly on call, constantly giving, you're serving the mask. You're affirming the surface, the charming guy, the confident guy, the guy who likes to be wanted. But when your attention vanishes, that mask starts to crack. He's no longer being reflected by your light. He's having to sit with his own. And that's when the truth comes to light. Did he love you? Or for how he felt when you loved? Let your silence speak for you. You don't have to justify why you withdrew. You don't have to plead your worth. Your silent withdrawal already spoke volumes. The woman who no longer gives out of emptiness is the one who starts to attract out of wholeness. And if he truly does see you, not the version of himself that you mirror, he will approach. Not because of ego, but because of recognition. Because you were never supposed to pursue, you were supposed to be approached. The magnetic power of emotional distance. There's something warm about a woman who lets go without drama, who doesn't explain, doesn't argue, doesn't beg. She simply releases, not out of rage, but out of clarity. Her quiet is more powerful than any fight ever was. That's not coldness, that's change. Carl Jung referred to this as individuation, a divine process in which you no longer live life through the eyes of other people and start coming home to yourself. When you leave someone who fails to greet your heart with warmth equal to yours, you're not surrendering, you're waking up. You're not running around seeking validation in his attention anymore. You're no longer shrinking to be loved. You're simply choosing your peace rather than emotional chaos. And that choice changes your energy. Suddenly, you're not the woman checking your phone at midnight waiting for him to text back. You're the woman who sleeps soundly, knowing your worth is not determined by who texts you. He feels it, even if he never admits it. He doesn't say it, but he senses. He senses the change. Your silence disturbs something in him, not because you're actually punishing him, but because your emotional availability once nourished his comfort. And now that comfort is eliminated. You're not responding. You're not pursuing. You're not orbiting him anymore. You've changed your orbit. And in that place you occupied before, he comes to understand what he never really valued. Ironically, it's the distance which makes him feel your presence more than anything else ever could. Because there is nothing more powerful than a woman who doesn't require him, who selects herself without apology. That confidence, that unspoken inner radiance, men sense it even when they don't know what it is, and they can't help but be attracted to it. But here's the best part. You didn't walk away to pique his interest. You walked away to take yourself back. Let your actions set the boundary. We tend to believe boundaries take long conversations or thick explanations, but actual boundaries are energetic. They're experienced. Carl Jung once declared, "What is not made conscious will manifest as fate." That is, if you don't awaken to your worth, life will continue to send you people who dismiss it. That's why walking away without a fight is the strongest boundary you can create. Not responding to half-hearted texts, not agreeing to spontaneous offers, not indulging in people who value you only when it's convenient. That isn't being rude, it's self-respect. You may say to him 100 times that you need more, but if you continue to accept less, your words turn into white noise. Not because he's heartless, but because your behavior teaches him that your love is negotiable. And actual love isn't. Change the pattern, change the outcome. If he messages you on his schedule and you always respond, that's your boundary. If he treats you with disrespect and you remain anyway, that's your boundary. It's not what you say, it's what you allow. When a man realizes he no longer has the same access to you, that something has shifted, it stirs something in him. Because now, you're not trying to win his attention. You're reclaiming your own. You're not fighting for a spot in his life. You're building one of your own. And the most potent bit, you don't even have to justify any of it. Simply move differently. That shakes the ego the hardest. The woman who disengages quietly, who ceases to present herself with everything she has, who simply isn't there anymore. Such absence leaves a scar. Not because it's intended to hurt him, but because it shows him that your love is no longer free. It needs to be earned. Let him reveal to you who he is. In the silence, after all you offered, isn't it time he offers something back? Jung instructed that when fear no longer motivates our behavior, we finally see people for who they are. That includes love. When you cease reaching out first, cease hoping that he sees you, cease attempting to be selected, you allow room for truth to emerge. Now the question is he here for you or for how you made him feel? If you go silent and he disappears, that's your clarity. If he arrives with presence, intention, and consistency, that's your answer too. But let him reveal it without your asking. Don't post in hopes of getting his attention. Don't send subtle hints. Don't play subtle games. Let stillness speak. Let absence clarify, because the person who really cares for you doesn't wait until you're gone to arrive. He's already there. He already sees you. You're not waiting. You're rising. If he doesn't return, it's not a loss. It's freedom. You've simply liberated yourself from investing in someone who wasn't willing to grow with you. This is the shift where you no longer wait and begin to receive, where you don't pursue but magnetize. You're not wishing anymore, you're becoming. You're the woman who doesn't shrink, doesn't settle, and doesn't give her love away for understanding. And from that place, from that self-respecting quiet, only what resonates with your soul will seek you out. Let this be your reminder. If you are here, it's not because of him, it's because of you, because something in you is stirring, something that will not accept almost love, something that knows you were never meant to beg, but to be met fully and freely. Jung said, don't hold onto those who walk away, so that those meant to come close can find you. This isn't about making him pursue. It's about remembering you are already enough. And when you cease reaching outward, you begin attracting the type of love that doesn't have to be pursued. It chooses you every time. If this resonated with you, let me know what spoke most to you in the comments. And remember, silence is not hollowness, it's power. Until next time.